I hate gift giving and receiving.
Receiving gifts is so weird. What do you say? Thank you?
This is Coffee Convos with Kale Lowry and Lindsay Chrisley.
I really want you to be in your feels, Kale.
That does not interest me whatsoever.
I feel very attacked by you.
A spirited discussion about motherhood, friendship, family, and life in the public eye.
I'm just not with the fakery anymore.
There's a fakery bakery around here.
Here's Kale and Lindsay.
Oops, I did it again. Do I look like Brit?
I cannot take you seriously. No, you look like a Ninja Turtle.
I'm a gamer.
I don't know
I'm
why
gamer
I feel
Kale.
like you look like a Ninja Turtle, but welcome to Coffee Convos podcast. I
Welcome.
love that I am not on camera this morning, and that you aren't on camera with a gaming headset.
This is literally everything right now. This is my son's Xbox headset. My mic for podcasting, it didn't break. Lindsay said there's a shortage in it. So Kristen was like, what about those?
Not a shortage.
Oh, a short. Is it not the same?
Yeah.
Is it
like
not
a
the same?
short in the cord. I don't think it's the same. I mean, watch, people will be like, yeah, Lindsay, it's short is short for shortage. But I think it's just like a short in the cord, you know, like when you plug in your iPhone and you think that it's going to be such a good charge and you come back and it's not charged at all because it just like broke and no one knows how.
Yeah. Or my kids will unplug my phone and it won't be charging. And I think that I'm going to come back to it and it's fucking balls to the walls charged. And then I realized my kid pulled it out of the plug. Yeah, I know all about that. Do you see this glow in my forehead? I just want you to know that this is Dysport. I got my Botox.
Man.
Well, I use the Dysport brand. And this sheen in my forehead is everything.
Gosh, don't we love Dysport? I also do Dysport over Botox. I prefer it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing better than going and getting like a facial, a massage. Oh, got my cat wax yesterday.
Oh, see, you're fresh. You're ready to go. I hear
Back
you.
on the game. But there's nothing better than like fresh Dysport when people don't know your emotions. It's the best.
Oh, yeah. Oh, same. Like, look at my eyebrow movement right now. Love that. Love that for me.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wait, can I tell you that I am so sick of kids being out of school that like I can't even stand it.
Oh, same. Listen, between my kids getting sick, we played hooky on Friday, and then my other kids got sick yesterday, so they didn't go to school today. So trust me when I say I completely understand.
Jackson went to another camp yesterday. And I just feel like if I'm not driving to the school or I'm not driving somewhere for sports, then I'm driving to these camps that I sign him up for so that he can be entertained on the many days that he's out of school.
But you know what? I love that you have camps there. Like that's not a thing here. So I love that you have that and that's an option because my kids would probably love that, especially if like the older two could potentially go together.
Yesterday, Jackson went to the coolest camp. It was like an all sports camp. So it was literally 8 hours and you drop off at 8, pick up at 4, send lunch. And they do various different things. So basketball, dodgeball, football, kickball, all the like Nerf wars, like all this stuff. So he was very entertained and tired, Will said yesterday when he picked him up.
See, I love that. I wish, you know what? That's a business idea. I'm not going to start it, but if anyone in Dover, Delaware or Smyrna, Delaware wants to start these camps, I would participate.
It's interesting because we get this question all the time, and I saw it on either the Facebook or it might have been in the Kitty Gang Telegram, saw it somewhere, but a mom said, how do you moms work with your kids in half day school or on summer break? And it literally made me think of this. She said, my little one is in preschool and we will go for 3 hours. I have no one to go get her or take her. So I have to, we don't have childcare. I'm the main caretaker. On summer break, I'll also be the one to take care of her. Her father works swing shifts.
That's so hard because the school, the little private school that all my kids have gone to for preschool, like all the way up until preschool, a a lot of the moms, they are stay-at-home moms. They're not, they don't work because it's not realistic for you to put your child in a program from 9 to 12 or 8 to 11, something like that, and then you don't have the ability to go pick them up. There is an occasional grandparent that I see that will go that does that, and thankfully I have Natalie will go get Creed from his program, but I don't know how parents do it with the half day programs that work full time. I would be curious. I mean, maybe there's like an after program.
Well, I know the program that Jackson went to was considered a preschool because it had a curriculum. So it wasn't daycare. And it was only a couple of hours a day. And I've talked about it many times where I felt like I would just get in carpool and drop him off to just get back in it again to pick him back up. I had enough time to maybe if I already had a grocery list made, I had enough time to maybe go and get groceries, bring them home, and go pick back up. It is so hard. And so a lot of people I have heard from personal friends that they put their kids in daycare for the reason that they don't have the flexibility of being able to do a preschool schedule like that.
Yeah, exactly. I know before I had Natalie, I would maybe run and grab a coffee or go to the car wash or maybe when I used to go tanning, I don't go tanning anymore. Literally just do those little, maybe go get gas. I really didn't have a whole lot of time to do anything. And it's tough. So I don't blame the parents that need to do a daycare system over the preschool, but it's hard. It's tough.
Another thing while we're on the topic of school that I saw, and I was like, okay, we just have to talk about this because I feel like a lot of moms that are listening to this probably have kids that are around our age. This mom says, is it odd that my son just turned 10 and is going to health class and is learning about puberty, disease prevention, vaping and smoking, the endocrine system, human sexuality, and family life? It says menstruation will briefly be discussed, and I have the option to opt him out of it. I think it's a little bit young for that to be learning about some of these things. And he knows if he has any questions, he can ask me. We are very open, and does he like to question things? I just feel like he's too young to hear it from anyone else other than us. Thoughts, please. And I feel like this is such a good conversation starter because I have so many opinions about it.
What did you say was the age group for this?
10.
Okay, I want to hear your opinion. I also feel like I have a pretty strong opinion on this.
So I have actually opted Jackson out of certain things that have come home from school just because either I didn't want him to hear about it from the school and felt like he wasn't old enough to be, doing it. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there has been times where something's come home like a permission slip and I have not let him do it. But I also will hold him from school on whatever day that is. The problem is though, the more I did that, the more I realized that all these other kids are doing it and they're advancing and he's not. So he's probably still going to hear about it in some way secondhand, and he's not going to know the educational aspect of it. And so while I don't love this for a 10-year-old, I also think that we have to consider the times that we're currently in. And kids are having sex sooner and sooner. And it's because I believe of the exposure that they have on the internet and the things that they have access to. And so as much as I don't love that they're learning this stuff at 10 years old, I also think that we can't compare it to when we were 10 because times do look so differently today than we were 10 years old.
I completely agree with that. I mean, obviously, every child is maturing at their own pace. And, what I think Isaac is mature, what areas I think Isaac is mature in may be different from Lincoln or Lux. My initial thought when you started to read this was, I'm very open with my kids. My 5-year-old knows what a period is. So I think the reason why I have to be that way is 1, I'm a single mom. And 2, I see how grown men don't know shit about the human body as adults. And so that's kind of my reasoning for being as open as I am. It's natural. It's, I'm able to kind of tell them about it my way in my house, the way I want. But I do agree with you in showing the educational side of it. I think I'm on the fence about 10 years old. I'm not sure that that's a good age for everybody, but I could see some kids being ready to learn about those things at 10 years old. And then I do see that there are some kids that probably aren't ready. I don't know if I brought it up on here before, but I asked Isaac, you know, he's going to be 13 tomorrow. So when this airs, he'll be 13. And I brought it up to him. I said, you know, do you have any questions about sex? Like,
So
are you
he's just
thinking
learning about
sex?
this.
And he was like, Mom, no. Like, he has no interest at all. He has no, but he is going through, you know, puberty. And so we do have conversations, but he doesn't have any idea about like ovulation or STDs, really. I mean, he knows a little bit, but they don't touch on sex ed at all in our school system.
So Jackson is a very young person for his age.
Okay.
And so I feel like at 10 for him, he might not necessarily be ready to have these conversations because it's just not something that like, I think that he would even, if I brought up sex, he would probably be like, what is that? Like literally have not even one single clue. Like he gets shy when people kiss in front of him or something, you know? So that's just not something that I feel like he would necessarily be ready for at 10 years old. But I do know there are a lot of 10-year-olds out here that have older siblings that would be ready for this.
Yeah, Isaac's definitely, like, he kind of knows what it is, but the lack of interest, like, I think he could absorb the information. I think he would take it in. I think he would very much consider the information given to him, but it doesn't apply to him right now. And same for Lincoln. Like I asked, like, and he just looked at me like, Mom, like Lincoln, he's almost a year behind Jackson and he has no interest in girls right now. He has it's just not there. So, I mean, I think I took my health class was 6th grade. How old are you in 6th grade? 12?
I don't know. I think
around 12. And I don't remember being on like the sex ed topic, like for very long. I do remember seeing a couple STD pics, and that was about it. Like we didn't go in depth. It didn't really go much further than that. But I almost feel like it's a little necessary because, I mean, I don't know about 10, but I definitely think that
in my opinion, the longer that I have been a mom, the more I am okay with educational aspects. And I believe that knowledge is power. And when you have kids out here that don't have the knowledge but are participating in certain things and that knowledge could have prevented other things, then, you know, you have to look back at yourself as a parent and be like, was that negligent on my part? I personally, growing up, my dad never, I did not have any conversations with my dad regarding sex. It was just like you don't do it until you get married. So because of that, we're not having a conversation about it. However, he did with the boys.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. See,
You're going to get chlamydia and die.
Cue that little scene from Mean Girls.
Don't have sex because you will get pregnant and die.
My mom didn't have any type of conversation with me. I remember asking her for birth control when I was like 13 or 14 because my friend was on it. And I was like, I need this because it's going to help with my acne. But really, I was about to start having sex. And
wait, how old were you?
I lost my virginity when I was 14.
Oh my gosh, were you so scared?
No.
What?
No.
Like the first time you saw a dick, like you didn't get terrified?
The first time I saw a dick was when I had sex.
Like you had sex with the first dick you saw?
Yes.
How did you know what to do with it?
I didn't. I had no fucking clue. It was, and I didn't. I did not. And I will say, and I'm not blaming her by any means whatsoever. I'm not blaming her. But I had a friend, her name was Caitlin, and she was a troubled girl. Very great family life, which is her parents were very, very, very strict. And so I think she rebelled a little bit against that. And she started having sex at 12 or 13. And so because she was one of my best friends, I felt influenced, and I'm not blaming her. So Caitlin, if you're listening, I hope you're doing well. I felt influenced by her It was almost like I felt pressure. She wasn't pressuring me. She wasn't telling me to have sex. She wasn't telling me to lose my virginity. But I felt that because I was friends with her and that she was doing this, I also needed to do this. So I actually pressured my own boyfriend to do it. And I don't even know that he was ready. I don't know if he was ready, but we did it. We did it outside. And I actually wrote about it. It's called Sidewalk Sex in my book, Pride Over Pity. So if y'all want to read about me losing my virginity outside on the streets, feel free to pick up the book.
First of all, okay, this is great. I was never
Tales for the streets. This is great.
I was never a child, and even to this day as an adult, like peer pressure is not a thing for me. Like,
would that be peer pressure? Do you think that would be considered peer pressure?
Yeah, I feel like it is peer pressure.
But she wasn't like, come on, you need to have sex. Like, you need to lose your virginity. Here, do you want some drugs? Like, it wasn't like that. It was like, she was just having sex. Oh, it's like, okay.
You have self-induced peer pressure. She was doing it and you felt you had FOMO and you felt like you needed to keep up with the Joneses and you needed to also do it because if you weren't doing it, you weren't part of the times. That would never register to me. If someone was out here having sex and I was 13 or 14 years old and they were like, I'm having sex, I would probably be like, what's that? First of all. Secondly, would have zero interest at that point in my life. Zero.
Her and my other best friend, who I think about all the time, because I was closer to the other one, they're both recovering heroin addicts now.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not?
No.
You said no. Wait, before we move on, the sidewalk sex.
Yeah.
Did you get like carpet burn or like sidewalk burn?
So he actually took his shirt off. He was such a gentleman. He took his shirt off and he laid it on the ground.
No.
Yes, he
did.
Yes, he did.
No.
Yes, he
did. Said he was such a gentleman.
He was such a gentleman. He sure did. He sure did.
Well, we
shout out to John. Actually, hey, I have one more thing. What?
Kill, you like can't say who he is and then him hear this and him be mortified that you've told everybody that you guys lost your virginity to each other on a sidewalk.
Oh, well, I did change his name in the book for those reasons, but am I not allowed to say it on the podcast?
Bye.
Like for legal purposes, I changed everybody's name in the book. Okay. You know what's funny is when the book came out, he worked at Amazon and he read it because it like goes through Amazon and he cussed me all the way out on Facebook. Let me go see if I'll read you a message from him.
He cussed you all the way out?
Yes.
Wait, yeah, do you still have the messages?
I'm going to look for
Oh, this is so good. This is the tea that I never knew that I needed.
Shut the fuck up.
It is everything that I did not know that I needed this morning. This is just great. Wait, do you want me to tell you while you're looking for that really quick what I
found it. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, you do that and then I'm going to tell you what I just looked at on my counter and then laughed.
Okay, so April 4th, 2014, he Facebook messages me and says, "Please tell me you're joking." And I respond 3 days later and I say, "What?" And he goes, ... your book. And I said, "What about it?" And then he got mad and he was like, "The fact that you even said anything about me, the fact that you even said anything about me, like I ripped your clothes off and banged you on a goddamn sidewalk." I said, "John, did you even read the book? You are not mentioned in my book once. And I did not describe the event like that whatsoever. Didn't say my clothes were ripped off at all." And he goes, "Whatever you say, Kaylin. If it wasn't me, then who was it?" And I didn't say that. It said that word for word. The way it was written made it seem like, next, my pants were off and my underwear were off. My shirt was on. Kind of makes it sound rapey. But no, I didn't read the book, just 2 pages of it. No, I told the story of exactly how it happened. What? He's pissed. And he goes, "I'm sure 99% of Whitehall knows exactly who it's about." I said, "Okay, well, 99% of Whitehall isn't going to be reading my book." Childish.
I love that this was over Facebook Messenger. Nothing seems pettier in that moment.
Childish.
This is child's play. I need to tell you, and this is not the proudest mom moment that I have had. Certainly not the proudest mom moment, but my son decided that he was going to go to school and someone snitched on him for something. So he waited until he got back to his centers and proceeded to call this person a little bitch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what made me
Snitches
think
get
of
stitches.
that in this moment was that Will Campbell also marched his ass over to this house once I got Jackson home, asked me to get out some lined paper and made him sit and write 20 sentences. And this is the sentence. I will post a copy of this, by the way. I know that using foul language is wrong, and I will not do it in the future.
Period. We love that, Will
20
Campbell. Honestly,
times.
so it came up in conversation. I don't remember where I was or what was going on, but the kids today, obviously, aside from Jackson, will never know what it's like to sit there and write 100 sentences of the same, like 100 of the same sentences. You know what I mean? Like those were the types of punishments that I feel like worked. And I'm going to do that more often. So thank you, Will and Lindsay, for that, because you know what? I used to have to do that. I feel like that is a good punishment.
Okay, but I have to tell you, it shows you how kids are so much less fearful of their parents today than most of us probably were back then. Because if I would have been told to write 20 sentences, mine actually would have been 100. That would have been
same.
the Todd Chrisley rule. 20 is weak. I would have had to have written these sentences with perfect penmanship. Wouldn't have even thought otherwise. Like that wouldn't have even been something that ran past my mind to be like, oh, let me hurry and do this. No, like I'm officially going to take my time because otherwise there's another punishment coming and
you better dot every single I perfectly. You better cross every T perfectly. Like there's no, scribbling
you better
right
make
through
sure
it.
that period is legible.
Yes.
So the first sentence, Jackson proceeded to put a 1 next to Will's sentence. So that counted as one of his sentences. The second sentence is exactly as Will wrote what he was supposed to be writing.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to the third sentence, it only says, I won't use foul language anymore. So he made his own sentence.
Oh.
He cut half of it off. He said it was taking him too much time. And I'm like, first of all, if I would have ever gone to my parents and been told to write sentences because I did something wrong, and then I told them that their sentence was too long, like would have never even been a thought, like not even like a even brief moment, like would I have ever thought of that? I honestly would have been afraid for my life.
Susie could have been down in a bottle of vodka and she'd still be like, nope, start that one over.
Goodbye. Wait.
She'd be like, right there, that one right there. Start over.
Bye. Oh my God.
All right, y'all. If you're ready for the next step in your life, whether it's buying a new car or moving into a new apartment, buying a house, the first step is to have healthy credit. You need a healthy credit score, and there's no way around it. It's not fun. It's not always super convenient, but I've worked really hard to get a good credit score. Kickoff is actually the easiest way to build credit, and you can do it really quickly, whether you have no credit or you want to boost your credit score, which I have had to do both before. I don't know about you, Lindsay, but I have actually struggled building my credit in the past. It's way easier with Kickoff. It's the #1 credit building app, and it's helped over 1 million people take control of their credit.
Credit is so incredibly important, and that is one of my proudest things ever. And my parents talk about this regularly. They're like, our girls have great credit. With Kickoff, you can apply in minutes with no credit check, no hidden fees, no interest, and plans start at just $5 a month. And every on-time payment you make with Kickoff is reported to the major credit bureaus. When they see healthy habits, you see a happier credit score. You can even set it to auto pay so you can build credit without even thinking about it. And And Kickoff has also been praised by big time names like Forbes and NerdWallet as a smart way to build credit fast. They have a 4.9 out of 5-star rating on the App Store and over 44,000 rave reviews. You can trust Kickoff to help you get ahead. It's time to take control of your credit so it can't control you. So what are you waiting for? Apply right now in minutes at kickoff.com to start building better credit. That's KIKOFF.com to build your credit score without the lift. Start today at kickoff.com.
Hey, Friday Night Lights fans! It's not only football. Friday Night Lights and Beyond is an episode-by-episode discussion of the hit TV series Friday Night Lights, hosted by yours truly, Scott Porter, who played Jason Street on the show, and my two wonderful co-hosts,
me, Zach Guilford, a.k.a. Matt Saracen.
And me, Mae Whitman, a.k.a. someone who wasn't on the show but really, really loves it a lot.
We will also bring on some special guests, answer your questions, and tell you about what's going on in our lives today.
It's not only football. Friday Night Lights and Beyond is available now wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose!
Okay, so we've got some listener and some foul plays and a bunch of other shit that we have to move on to. So this was from the Facebook group. This person says, so I'm in a pickle. I've been with my partner for almost 10 years. We've always agreed that we were not fussed with getting married. Neither of our parents are married and we both split, so we never grew up with that being the norm. We also wanted to make sure that we achieved buying our own home and being comfortable, as we both come from backgrounds where our parents didn't own their homes and struggled for money. We achieved this and are thankfully comfortable financially. Now we have had our first child, I have completely gone the other way. I feel the urge to create this family unit that we never had and be married. I don't know why, but having a baby has changed my mind completely, but I was like, oh, fuck no. I don't need to get married. I'm not spending money on that, blah, blah, blah. So the point, my boyfriend, also, who wants to refer to their partner as a boyfriend once you're past 30? He still isn't I don't know what fuss means. He still isn't fussed, and I don't know if I should try to convince him or let it be. I mean, I've changed my mind after 10 years. I can't be mad that he hasn't.
Okay, fussed, I think, isn't concerned.
I don't get it.
That's I think she's saying, the way that she uses fussed is we're not concerned. We can't be bothered for that. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother them. He still isn't concerned. But wait, time out, because I know, using context clues, I know what she means. But I hate, part of me wants to be, doing my own thing and not really the marriage on paper kind of freaks me out. And I don't know, I'm on the fence about marriage itself. But I hate that I am almost 31 years old and I have multiple children and I have a boyfriend. That, I hate that, because I do feel like I'm established in my career. I know who I am. I own my own home. I have my own vehicle. I have my children. I have all these things. And I hate, when I'm talking to somebody, I hate being my boyfriend, or Elijah's house is in front of me. And when I had someone come out here for something I wanted to have built, I'm like, oh, don't worry, my boyfriend owns that. And it's just it feels very juvenile and I cannot stand it. So sometimes when I don't know them, I'll just be my husband, because I don't like it and it makes me feel really uncomfortable. The second thing I want to say about this is, do not try to convince this man of anything. Again, with the expiration dates, I would, if you're happy and you're okay with him not wanting to get married, I would leave it alone and just let it be. But if marriage, you have to decide if marriage is a deal breaker for you. If it is a deal breaker for you, you need to leave and be done with it. But I would not try to convince him of anything.
Okay. So Kristen and I kind of talked about changing minds and stuff after being in a marriage, but it was relative to having kids, getting married, having your mindset that you're going to have X amount of kids, having a couple kids, I think having 2 kids, and then one not wanting the third anymore, one still wanting it. And is it grounds to be able to divorce or go your separate ways because you're not living up to what you said before you were married? Mm-hmm. We talked about that on the Southern Tea. But
okay,
when I'm reading this is very similar in nature to me. Mm-hmm. I feel like Will and I said a lot of things before we got married that didn't come to fruition. I'll never forget, right. Will said that he wanted 5 kids or something, and we ended up having 1. And that was not something that was a hiccup to me, because you're allowed to change your mind. You're growing and you're evolving, or hopefully you are. And so, of course, things that you might have wanted or weren't important to you at one point in your life, they might be important to you, or you might want something different. And that's okay. I saw a TikTok that was this man talking about how he had felt like he had been married to multiple women, and the same woman over a period of many years being married to her because of her changing. And so I think it's okay to naturally, want to change, and you're evolving and you're growing. But at the same time, some people are dead set in the way that they feel. And that might not be something that he ever budges from. And I view this the same way as I would view having a child with someone else. And I've said this before. I only would ever have another child if the person that I was wanting to have that child with equally wanted that child as much as I did.
Right. But
forcing someone into like a life commitment like that, or putting pressure on them into a life commitment like that, I feel like it just naturally builds resentment, and it might not be immediate, but it will be over time, and it will happen.
Right. Like those ultimatums they can't end well. Like they truly can't end well. And if it is a deal breaker for her, because I don't know if it is, I think that's something that she needs to decide. If it is a deal breaker for her, do you really want to be with someone that you have to convince to do these things? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's okay to separate or go separate ways because you want different things, and it can be amicable and it can be civil. It doesn't have to be this like knockdown, drag out situation. It's just like, okay, over time, yes, we've had this child together. Yes, we have all of these things together. But if it is in fact a deal breaker, you guys can, grow apart. Like that is completely normal. We are human. We're able to evolve. We're allowed to change, like you said, and that's okay. It's
just sad when you see things like this happen, because I very much understand the position that she's in, that they both come from backgrounds where their parents didn't own their own homes and struggled for money, and they've been able to have financial success and, have a child and do all the married things without being married. If you've ever been married before, then you might have a different perspective on this. I can certainly tell you that I do. A marriage or being married to someone isn't going to change anything for me. Like that is just my mindset on it. I think it's a natural thing to want to do when you're in love with someone and you want that known unity, and you want to be able to call someone your husband or your wife. But if you're doing husband and wife things, essentially you are, just without the government being involved. And we know how I feel about that. So
this is true. So yeah, this is true. I mean, if I want, you could just call someone your husband. They don't have to like I do, and and just call it a day. Like y'all don't need the paperwork. The only thing that I would be concerned about is like, well, I guess you could have a will and still leave it to your partner, and you don't have to be married, right? Like you don't. You can still have.
This isn't a financial podcast, so I don't really want to give financial advice.
No, but I'm just thinking of like your assets together, your home together. You know how they say like next of kin, if there is something, God forbid, that goes wrong, it would go to your wife or your husband. But I was just thinking, I wasn't thinking in terms of like finances. I was more so thinking of like if there was a crazy accident or something. But I guess if you have something in writing, like, hey, we're not going to get married, but you will be my power of attorney if something happens. You are listed as this in my living will. You are, you know what I mean? Like I was thinking more in terms of that. Like, I guess, if there was a life or death situation, like how does that work? Because this is like essentially your life partner, but then would your parents be able to make the decision? Like, how does that work? That's the only thing that.
Honestly, that's a really great question. And I don't know the answer to that. I thought about this not too long ago, and it was in a morbid state that I was in. I know that I am no longer married to Will anymore. I'm very aware of that. Ship sailed, but I have a big sadness when it comes to knowing if something ever happened to him before something happened to me, and I have a child with him and someone else is like making the decisions, that's not me. That stresses me out.
Yeah, I completely understand that. And I'm on the opposite side of that spectrum. I would never want one of my kids' dads to make a decision. I'm like, Kristen's my power attorney. She is listed in my will. I'm leaving my house to Natalie for my kids, for the kids, so that she can live here with the kids and, you know, whatever. I can tell you all the details of my will if you want. But I actually, oddly enough, I feel like this kind of goes with that listener topic. I wrote this morning at 9:43 a.m. I literally wrote podcasting thoughts. And this kind of touches on the aspect of the listener topic where she says that her family didn't really have anything, you know, financially. And she said they came from split houses.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote this: every ex that I've been with whose parents were still together, they did not play me. Okay. Like, they didn't cheat on me. There may have been dysfunction, but they tried to make it work in some way or another. Even if there had been shit between their parents, you know, they weren't perfect, infidelities, etc. They still wanted to keep their families together and intact. And then the exes that I've been with, including myself, that have split parents and seeing people kind of in and out, they both played me and I've also played them. And I was wondering if there was a correlation.
I mean,
so I wonder for her too,
know.
like you know how they say you can go down the same path as your parents or do the complete opposite. I feel like I'm the opposite of my parents. She seems to be the opposite of her parents. And then her partner is more so following the steps of his parents.
I think for me, because my parents had such a toxic co-parenting situation, and quite frankly, I'm comfortable enough to say it because either of my parents would say this. They were never two people that should have ever been married in the first place. So when I got with Will, I thought about all of my childhood stuff. And I'm sure that's probably pretty common that most people do. I know that you've said that you did, that you wanted to go pretty much exactly opposite of the way that you were raised. Same for me. And I think that that's why it was so hard for me to let go of my marriage, because I didn't want to become my parents.
Right. Right. So you kind of went down the opposite, you know. Mm-hmm. You tried to be the opposite of them or what they had.
I would love to know what other people think about that, actually. Let's move on to the next person from the Facebook group.
Okay. My daughter just got engaged. Her fiance, 25, and her both work. He makes decent money, over $60K, but she makes about half and is in grad school. As parents of the bride, traditionally, we are to pay for the majority of the wedding. However, we will only have about probably 30 guests coming, while his family has over 75 guests listed. We are willing to pay some and of course help out, but I'm wondering, since this is our first child to get married, what do the bride's parents pay for when their adult children work and live on their own and get married? Would it be reasonable to just give them a set amount of money to work with and tell them that's it? My daughter has grand wedding plans, 200 guests, no children, outdoor wine vineyard, elaborate flower and decorations. If we pay for all of it, we would go broke. Not really, but certainly wouldn't be worth the price for us, and we have 3 other children. Any advice?
This is so interesting because I honestly have had so many conversations with girls in my personal life about this. I think that if your parents are in a place to where they can contribute, that should not be considered a built-in of your life. Like, if they're in a place that they can contribute, then of course that's great that they can. If they're not, I don't believe in having this expectation, this traditional expectation of the bride's parents pay for the wedding and the reception, I think, and then the groom's parents pay for the rehearsal dinner. I think that's most common, what I've heard.
Yeah.
However, this is also a big conversation internally to set proper expectations. And I do think that it's fair that if your children are grown and they're grown enough to get out here and get married and do those things, anything that you do for them should be considered a bonus, not a requirement. And so if her grown daughter has all of these expectations, which many girls have wedding dreams for their whole life and, you know, have these expectations. But when you have those grand expectations, it should also be on your dime. Like, you can't expect someone else to foot that bill because that's your expectation. Also, when you're inviting 30 guests and you're paying for majority and then someone else is inviting 75, I feel like it should be even. So if you're paying for 30, then they're paying for 30. And if there's an overage, then they pay for the overage.
I have a lot to say about this. For one, it doesn't sound like this is a traditional type of family. I mean, just based off this information, if they're already kind of out, they're already living together, they just got engaged. I mean, technically, aren't you supposed to be like married before you live together kind of thing? I only say that to say, I'm not judging. I only say that to say, if you're not living your life in this like traditional type of way in all aspects, why are you only applying the traditional aspect to the wedding? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you're not...
Well, it's cherry picking. It's
right. And so why are you even applying this traditional rule or this traditional tradition to a marriage when it just doesn't, you don't live traditionally in every other aspect? So that's my first thought. My second thought is, going along with that, if you have 3 other children and you knew that this is, you knew that you had a daughter, and if you were going to apply this to your lifestyle or what you thought for the future, why did you not start planning when you had your daughter, when your daughter was born? Like, did you not think, oh, you know what, traditionally the daughter's family pays for, the wedding and stuff, I better start saving now. If you were going to do this like traditional type of situation. And then third, I feel like her idea of giving a set amount, whatever that they're willing to give, I do feel like that is more than fair. We are, again, in 2023. So why are we trying to do this traditional shit? If someone offered me, I spent close to $40,000, it was like $35,000-$40,000 on my wedding, which was a lot at the time. And I had under 200 guests, and that was at $150 a plate. We got no money back as gifts. Everyone pretty much came empty-handed. If someone would have said to me, hey, here's a set amount of money, apply it wherever you want, I would have been elated, ecstatic, so excited. I don't even remember his parents paying for the rehearsal dinner.
I know, just based off of very close personal people that I have dealings with, that it's been traditional or considered traditional that the bride's parents pay for the wedding and the reception. Yep. Is that like the thing after?
Yes.
And then the groom's parents pay for the rehearsal dinner.
Yep. Sounds about right. But
I also think that when you have 3 kids, and this is the last thing I'm going to say on this, when you have 3 kids, and I know that Will's parents did this, that what they were willing to give one who had a big wedding, they were also willing to give us that didn't have one. And so it was a set amount, and that was equal to all 3 children.
Okay. So see, that's fair to me, but I just feel like you said, the cherry picking thing. Why are you only applying this traditional thing to your life? And why didn't you start saving the second you realized you had a daughter, if that's what you were going to do? Yeah. And I'm not mad at her for having all these elaborate plans. I'm not mad at her for that at all. I think that's, like you said, that's a lot of women dream of that from when they're a little girl. So and boys too. We can move on, but yeah, I agree. Hope that helped.
Next person from the Facebook group says, how did y'all find this drink to leave y'all's marriages? I told my significant other last night that I was done. We have 2 kids together, and also each have one that we brought into the relationship. This is the part that gets sticky to me. That was my thoughts, not what she said. A lot has happened to me to make this choice. We live in a very small rural town, and right now I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I'm over halfway done with getting my bachelor's degree. I will have to find a job, find a daycare for our 2-year-old, which I have never been apart from, and find the balance again of juggling school sports, youth sports. I have 2, 8, and 13-year-olds. So you ladies know I am just stressed. I don't know what steps to take. I've been applying at jobs, reaching out to daycares. My significant other works out of town 2 to 5 weeks at a time, so he won't be home for 2 weeks right now. He is in denial with everything, and I'm just so stressed. That's a lot of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. First thing that I want to say is, I would say if you're in your second marriage, or this might be your first, but you're bringing other kids into the marriage that you guys did not create together, to me, that is like a whole other level of hard. And I'm sure you experienced that with Isaac, with Javi.
I think that my divorce affected Isaac tenfold. He was too young for me and Joe split. I don't think my other breakups ever impacted him the same way Isaac's life, and I think Isaac as a person changed when Javi and I got divorced. And I will never not believe that.
Okay, so do you feel like that it's because of Isaac's age whenever you and Javi got together that possibly caused
I think
the issue?
His age was part of it. They were very formative, years of his life. I was also going through I was growing up at the time, you know what I mean? So I was fucking up in and of itself, like separate from my divorce. Like I just wasn't who I needed to be at that time. I mean, I was growing up. I also think that, Isaac decided on his own to call Javi dad, and Isaac loved Javi. Javi got him tattooed on his arm. You know what I mean? Like that was his dad. So he had two dads, so I think that it was the way that Javi loved Isaac was what I would expect for all stepfathers or partners who are coming into a relationship with children. That is how I expect a stepchild to be loved. Mm-hmm. And he kind of set the bar for that. And I think that is why Isaac, I think to this day, it's still hard for me. He still has Javi in his phone as stepdad.
That's
but
so
they
precious.
don't have a relationship.
And I just hate that it was a child that you guys did not have together, but you were raising together for a period of time. Mm-hmm. And then for that separation, that would have to be hard because that is a childhood trauma. Whether it wants to be admitted or not, it is because of the relationship and it being broken. To this though, I don't understand having that many children and going from sports to sports, because I regularly say there are some women that are cut out to be moms of many. And then there are some women that are cut out to be moms of a couple. And then there's some women that are cut out to be moms of one. And I might just be cut out to be a mom of one. So I can't relate, but I know that you can. And I think that a lot of people probably go through having a spouse that works out of town and are gone for that long period of time. And I would imagine the strain that would wear when you're raising children and you're also trying to better yourself. And that person's trying to provide for the family and they're gone away for that long. That would be very hard.
So she says in here, how did y'all find the strength to leave y'all's marriages? And then at the end, she says he's in denial with everything. So I think my first question is, are y'all on the same page about this? Are y'all both wanting to separate? If that's the case, if you guys are both wanting to separate and maybe it's not doable right now, maybe you guys are wanting to separate and that is okay if that's what's best for you and your families. Maybe you guys need to stick it out until your ducks are in a row, essentially, like get through school, like make a family decision to stay together for financial purposes or time, sharing purposes right now until you finish school. I remember when I went to file for divorce initially, and I think I've said this before on this podcast, I went to see an attorney downtown in Dover and she told me not to leave yet. She was like, come back when your ducks are in a row. I laid everything out for her and she was like, no. And then during that time, I was like, okay, I'm in my head, I was going to go get divorced, when I had my ducks in a row. And then ultimately we decided to make it work for a little bit longer, like actually try to make it work. But if he's in denial, you guys must have had a conversation about ending this relationship. But because he works out of town, you're still in school, you're still applying to jobs, you don't have one right now. You have all these sports and it would be really hard. I mean, not for nothing, but we are about to go through a recession. And I do know couples who stay together for financial purposes or convenient purposes. So I don't know. I think maybe have a sit down conversation, get a third party involved if you need to. That's so tough. But you don't want the kids to suffer. You want to be able to get them to their sports and their youth practices and whatever else that looks like. But 2 to 5 weeks at a time. I mean, you're essentially already doing it on your own. So why not hang in there until you're done with school? Maybe that's bad advice. I'm the queen of bad advice. So
I will say sometimes you have a false sense that you're doing it on your own, because I did. Will would be gone to work and I would be, stay at home mom doing puzzles and art projects and, making food and going to all these damn music classes and library story time. And by the end of the day, I was so exhausted by the time he got home. And I felt like I was doing it all on my own because he wasn't there, because he was at work. But not until I divorced did I realize there was a lot of things I thought I was doing on my own that I actually wasn't doing on my own.
And that's why they say couples therapy is good before there's problems, because that can come up in therapy. You know what I mean? That's a really good point, Lindsay. I think more people should really look at that, because I do think there is a sense of resentment that builds, for whether you're a stay-at-home dad or you're the default parent, and then the other one, is working or whatever the case is. I think that's a really good point. And I think I've struggled with that.
I feel like is just hard altogether, because I think so many people can relate, whether you're a mom or like the 5 dads that listen to this.
Not the 5 dads. Also, if any dads are listening, this is your reminder that Valentine's Day is coming up. She doesn't want gifts off Amazon a week later. She doesn't want gifts that are unwrapped. Get her flowers, all the things, gifts, all of that. So if there are any dads, boyfriends, women looking for something for their wives, now is your reminder. But yes, I agree with you.
The 5 dads that are listening, the moms that are listening.
Yeah.
I feel like parenting is so lonely sometimes, because even though you're parenting with someone else in some situations and in some situations not, even in my marriage, when Will would be gone to work and then come back home, it was like an immediate separation, because I had been with Jackson all day long that I needed 5 minutes to myself. So Will would take him when he got home from work, and then not until he went to bed would we ever have time for each other. And that wore, for a very long time. And I think that caused a lot of problems that we didn't even realize that it was causing by navigating that way. It was like that fight or flight mode that you get in of, okay, I've done this part all day, you do this part, and switch on and off, and then not prioritizing the marriage. So I think that in this specific situation, and this is the last thing I'm going to say on it, is when you're a stay-at-home mom, you're trying to also better yourself. You have multiple children. You have a spouse that is either, they could be at work locally and be gone all the time, or they could be at work for weeks at a time. That is naturally going to wear on you, and you might not have the relationship problems that you think that you have, but you're in a season of life that you feel like nothing's working.
Yeah. I want to add one more thing to that too. You said that parenting can be lonely. I think that it can be lonely when you think you're doing it on your own, when you're doing it on your own, or even if you're in a happy marriage anyway, because especially I would say like the first, like the 0 to 3, she said she has a 3-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So she has a
2 and 8 and 13.
Okay. 2 years old. I mean, you're still in that phase of life too, or that season of life where you're still not probably getting, and with all of these things going on between the sports and him being out of town and all of that, you're not able to have alone time at all. So it's not even so much of whose kids is whose, it's the ages, right? Like there's even at the end of the day, you're just exhausted, you're burnt out, you don't want to be touched, you're overstimulated. And then you don't get to either lay down with your husband, or you don't want to be laying down with your husband. But I think that we say all of this to say that I don't think that there is a piece of advice that we can give you outside of potentially just communicating and trying to understand like where each of your heads are at.
Yes. Okay. Next person from the Facebook says, is a back rub ever really just a back rub? My partner gives me, yes. My partner gives me a back rub a few times in a month. And I wonder this every time. Like, are other women really just getting a great back rub with a pat on the butt and good night? I love my partner, but sometimes it would be nice just to get the back rub without the expectation of sex. That seems to be a trend in all of my relationships. It always ends up being foreplay. Am I here alone? And anyone who just gets the back rub, has it always been that way, or did you say something?
I don't think I've ever just gotten a back rub. I don't think. And I think I would be more open. Like I almost get mad because of the expectation of sex that comes with it. I get upset. So I don't even want the back rub. I would want to have sex on my own with the back rub, and I would probably initiate it myself with the back rub if the expectation wasn't there, but because it's there, it pisses me off. No, I don't know anyone that ever just gets a back rub. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I just don't even touch me if you're going to expect something from me.
First of all, in 2 of my relationships, I have gotten back rubs and there not been an expectation of sex. But I think I'm also like, this is not tooting my own horn, but I think I'm also like a very cozy sleeper, but like I'm a professional sleeper. So I think that both of these people just wanted to be like up close next to me. And they knew that the only way that was going to happen and I was going to allow them to stay there is if they were giving me a back rub.
Okay.
Because if I'm not getting a back rub, go to your side.
Go. Don't touch me. Don't look at me. Don't even breathe in this direction.
Like literally do not even do that.
Funny.
But that brings me to a question that I've wanted to know this for a very long time. And this is the best place to pull it. Are you the type of people that snuggle all night long, or do you start snuggling and then both end up on your side of the bed and then come back together in the morning? Or
what?
do you
Who comes back together in the morning? That's not a thing.
That is a thing. Like
That's
that is
not
a thing.
Maybe on a weekend.
Well, yeah, because if it's a regular weekday, you psychopath, like you're bouncing out of the bed looking like a crazy person just trying to get the kids to school. So you're right. That's not a thing on a regular weekday. But like it is a thing that happens on occasion. So are you that type of person, or are you the type of person that like once you get in the bed, you're on your side, he's on his side?
No, cuddle a little bit and then roll over. I had one ex that I cuddled with all night long. Like our bodies were intertwined, but that also wasn't healthy. And like that whole relationship wasn't healthy. So that type of, he probably just did that so I wouldn't go through his phone. But I just cuddle for a few and then I like to roll over because I like to hug a pillow. It keeps my shoulders like up. So I'm not like this. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I am the person that like loves a good snuggle, but also if you're not scratching my back or rubbing my hair, like go away. I will always start snuggling, probably go separate ways for like a brief period until the sleep like gets good and
Kicks
set in. Then I'm going to find you.
What? What does
like,
that mean?
I will come
that I'm gonna
find you. Like I'm going to drape my leg over you. Like you aren't going anywhere. You need to be close. The best snuggle is the middle of the bed snuggle. Like that is the best snuggle.
I don't know if I know about that. I don't know about the middle of the bed snuggle.
You haven't lived, and like you're not learning if you're not taking this advice while I'm telling you. Like you need to get off this podcast and go try a middle of the bed snuggle and come back and report back to us.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay. Someone says, how do you solve fights when your kids are fighting, such as the TV, toys, each other's clothes? I have 2 girls. Do boys even fight over clothes?
No. Yes, my kids fight over clothes, especially Lincoln, Lux, and Creed. Isaac is kind of on his own there because he's taller, so he doesn't have that problem. But now if I buy something for Lincoln, I also get it for Lux and Creed because I will not deal with the fight. Like I got a Roman Reigns costume, the wrestler. I literally bought 3 of them because I was not going to deal with the fighting. That's not realistic in every situation, but yes, they fight about fucking everything and it's so frustrating. It really depends on the day. So I don't have any solid advice for this. I'm sorry. It really depends on the day. It depends who's in the right, who's in the wrong. Sometimes I take the shit away. Sometimes if I see the whole thing go down, I will say what's what. But there's no way to solve this. Mm-mm.
Jackson doesn't have anybody to fight with. So not really a problem that we have in my house. We have lots of other problems, but none of these are ones that we experience. Jackson actually didn't even care about clothes until this school year, surprisingly. So also there's nobody, if he's fighting anybody over clothes, it's me. And it's because I don't want to see him wearing a jersey literally every single day of his life. But then I also tell myself, okay, this is only a season. Like he's only going to do this for a season because I do not love grown men wearing jerseys around. And like, I'm not trying to set my kid up for that. I'm like, why are you wearing another man's jersey? Is that a thing?
I have never heard that. I don't think I've ever seen like a guy in a jersey and been like, ew, that's like not an ick for me. Lindsay, you need to do the TikTok that's like my icks, because I've never heard that. That doesn't bother me. Lincoln is also, I bought him 2 jerseys for his birthday, and I sent them to you in a text, but that doesn't bother me. Lincoln and Jackson, I feel like, are pretty aligned with the whole basketball thing and the jersey thing, because Lincoln also loves jerseys. But yeah, there's no advice for this.
Okay. These are 2 sex ones back to back. Lots of sex questions on here recently, so I thought I would throw mine out there. Squirting. My boyfriend keeps begging me to squirt for him, and I just don't know if it's possible. Do we think that it can be a taunting thing or just a natural thing? If I'm lucky, I'm lucky.
Oh, do we think it can be a taught thing?
Oh, a taught thing.
I've read different things. I've read certain things that say every woman has the ability to do it, and it's just like figuring that part out. And then I've also read things that it's not everybody can do it, but it was confirmed by a doctor who filled a bladder with dye. It was like a mixture of dye and urine.
You talked about this, but here's the thing.
But I don't know if it can be like induced. Like obviously everyone can pee. So I don't know if it can be like, I don't know if everybody can do it.
Remember like last summer when we regularly talked about queefing and Bone queefed on the podcast? Yeah. I also feel like Bone would be the person that would say that you can like
squirt on command.
Squirt on command, yes.
Some women can. I know that.
But I don't think that's a thing. I think that this happens just like naturally. If you're having sex with somebody that it's happened before, I feel like it's just like maybe the makeup with that partner.
Okay, I'm on ForiaWellness.com. I Googled, can people learn how to squirt? And it says, I'll read this.
We've gone from teaching people or attempting to teach people about finances to how to squirt, sex ed.
Okay, this says, of course, some of us have always known. We have maybe even been embarrassed while it happened unexpectedly until the mighty squirt became celebrated as visual proof of the elusive female orgasm. Now it seems like everyone wants to know how to squirt or how to make someone else squirt. As with many things sex-related, the answers are complex and deeply individual. Some squirt with ease, some can learn how to squirt, and some may never get there. So that's your answer.
Okay. The next sex question, and then we've got to do some foul play before we go. What are the sexual acts that you think men should stop doing during sex? Be honest.
I think they should stop like playing DJ with my clit. Like that's not okay. And you need to listen to the fucking women. Like if I put your hand somewhere, leave it there. If I say don't fucking move, don't move. If I tell you to do this, then fucking do it.
Changing positions a million times, because I'm not sure if you're trying to spice this up or if you're trying to keep yourself from getting off. Don't know what it is, but it's just something I'm not a fan of. So I think that we should normalize that it's okay to stay in like 1 or 2 positions during one sexual encounter.
What are the sexual acts you think men should stop during sex? I don't understand like the rough hands and then you're just like not even rubbing it correctly. It's the most frustrating thing.
That's also why you like girls.
This is true. This is true.
Because their hands aren't DJing my clit.
Oh shit, I just ripped my gamer set off. Men need to read on like sex 101 or like how to, I'm not saying every man, because obviously the ones that are like super experienced or the ones that are willing to listen to their partners are fine. But there have been some men, like some of my boyfriends have really just like, I don't want to cut on my lady parts. I don't want it to be rubbed raw. I don't want it to be
inflamed.
Like I remember one of my exes, thank God this didn't happen to me because I probably would have passed away. He said that he fingered a girl after eating hot chips and he didn't wash his hands and she flipped out on him. And I was like, rightfully fucking so. I love hearing stories from like whoever I'm like dating, like my partners. Like I love hearing stuff about their exes. It doesn't make me mad. I'm just like, I have so many questions. Like, tell me about the time that you fingered her after you ate hot chips. Like, I need to know exactly what happened, how the conversation went, how you guys cooled it down. Did it ever happen
that's
again?
Just nasty and like unsanitary. I'm going to call this person out. I don't even know them, but the fact that you went from a bag of chips into my whole vagina
to a bag inside my body, into
like,
a hole inside my body.
Like, absolutely not. Like, did you think about potentially like you went from Cheetos to my coochie? Big problem. Like, not a fan of that.
Could you guess that X?
Could you imagine someone going down on you after eating flaming hot Cheetos? Like, I'm
Absolutely
sure
not.
shit like that's happened to people.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that's like a weird kink that some people have. But can you guess the X that it was? Don't say it on this podcast, but text it to me.
Oh, wait. It's one of you. Okay. Hold on. I already know who it is. I'm texting you right now.
If you get it right, I will fucking die. I will pass away. Yep. Lindsay knows it too. She fucking knows. I'm done.
I knew immediately when you said that. When you said the flaming hot Cheetos, that's all that you needed to tell me. Also, one other position that I feel like most of my girlfriends bitch about all the time when we're talking about sex, which we do talk about a lot, jackhammer.
They gotta stop. They have gotta stop.
Like,
that needs to end. Yeah.
What are you doing? Because what you're doing is you're creating friction, and at that point,
not fun.
It's a coochie fart. Like, that's the only thing that's happening.
It's a coochie fart. Can we put that on a t-shirt? It's a coochie fart. Like, that's it. Just it's a coochie fart.
No, that needs to be like a koozie or like something.
Or
like no one's
like
walking around with a t-shirt. It's like it's a coochie fart. Like, come on. Okay, foul play. We're
foul play.
bad.
So me and my fiance like to keep videos of specific naughty times we spent together on our phones. Normally we keep these in a locked folder away from prying eyes, normally. One day my mother-in-law was, One day my mother-in-law was scrolling through my fiance's pictures on his phone. He had screenshotted some football boots and asked her for an opinion on which ones to buy. He specifically asked her to only swipe left, but as she was looking through, she decided the need to go back to the beginning to get another look. Now my fiance has an iPhone which decides to play videos as soon as you scroll into them in the gallery. Her face turned red and she squealed, threw my fiance's phone across the table back to him and said, "I don't think I was meant to see that." In absolute horror, I remembered that the video she just watched is me sitting on his dick on our sofa, and that she sat on and going to town, sending love from North UK. Oh my God.
First off,
I would die. I would fucking die.
Have you never been, sending something that you know immediately you probably just should not be sending? I don't care who it's to, but like, and then you automatically think that you sent it to your in-laws, so you have to go back to
and like check
your text thread and make sure it went to the right person. And it's like, if that went to my in-laws, that would be very fucking bad. Like, I don't think I would ever be able to look at those people in the eyeballs. Like, could you imagine?
I would never be able to look at them ever the same ever again. No fucking way. No fucking way.
So I have this one friend who was in a situation. It was a cheating situation. And what happened was her guy that she was seeing had a wife.
Mm-hmm.
And the photos that she was sending not only went to this man's phone, but went to his tablet. And it was like mortifying things, like fingering herself and like all of these just like risque things. And she was telling me about how mortified she was that another woman had seen them at this point. And I'm just thinking to myself, if anyone ever saw content that I was creating for the person that
no, shut up. Stop right there. The fact that you just said if anyone saw the content I was creating, like I know that's what you're doing, but using content you're creating in a sexual sentence, like in a sexual context, is so funny to me. Like, what is this, OnlyFans?
God, no wonder.
I would be mortified. Like, even your best girlfriends who have, like, one of my girlfriends shaved me when I was big pregnant with Creed or Lux, I can't remember, and I wouldn't want her to even see, like, she saw my parts, but I wouldn't want her to see, like, my sexual things, my sexual content.
Your sexual content that you have created. Like, nobody wants to see or needs to see that outside of the person that it was intended for. It's just like weird, and it's an awkward thing. And this is also why I need to just issue a public service announcement. Don't let other people go on your fucking iPhone.
No, yeah. And definitely maybe don't have the same password on your iPad as well.
Oh, wait. Also, I think about this regularly as well. It's kind of morbid as well. If you passed away and someone scrolled through your camera roll on your phone, mortified. Like, I'm absolutely mortified. This is another public service announcement that we should all be responsible human beings, because any of us could have a heart attack. Somebody could come in, scare us to death. Attack. Anything could happen. Our ceiling could cave in, knock us dead.
I cannot.
We need to be prepared for something like that to happen, because your camera roll, I'm here to tell you, any person that is signed up listening to Coffee Convos, your camera roll is as scary as ours, I'm convinced. And the screenshots alone of things that I screenshot, I would want nobody seeing.
Oh, 100%. So how I just said a little bit earlier in the podcast that I like to ask like stories about your exes. Me and Elijah were going through like his iPad stuff because he doesn't really use it anymore. So we're scrolling through and I'm like, you screenshot like the weirdest stuff. Like, there was nothing like embarrassing in there, but I was like, this stuff is so weird.
Like, why are you so fucking weird?
Yeah. And so I already told Kristen, I said, when I pass away, I need you to smash my phone with a hammer and then also burn it and then take the crumbs and throw it into the ocean. Like, I need them to sink down to the bottom of 750 feet in the ocean. Like, do not let anyone get a hold of this.
I think that we should normalize making people have their person that once they hear that you're dead, that person immediately goes and gets the phone.
Like, who would go get mine? That's what I want to know. Who they're like.
I can think of a couple people that would try to go get yours.
Javi's immediately running.
Running. Chris running.
Probably some others.
I don't think Joe would give a fuck, but like
Joe would be like, "Oh, good,
like, bitch dead.
She's done."
Okay, one more foul play.
Okay, all right. Here we go. My husband and I decided we wanted to have some sexy time, so he was trying to be innovative on how to last longer. This was without my knowledge. He took a shower, put on a ring while in the bathroom, and came out ready to go.
Oh, like a cock ring.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if it has to be. I start by going down, and about 5 minutes in, I realized my lips and mouth are tingling. I asked him if the lube he used was the lube that warmed up. He said he didn't use any. First red flag. Something was on his dong, and all I could think of was, holy moly, I'm allergic to something. I started to freak because at this point, my entire mouth is now numb. He then nonchalantly says, it's probably the lidocaine I used. The what? This motherfucker literally used lidocaine thinking it would help him last longer. Pro tip, don't do it.
First of all, this is why men are dumb.
First of all, there's lube that is literally to help you last longer, and I don't think it's lidocaine, but my ex had to use it because he had a pre-ejaculation problem where he would come before he put it in.
I'm going to text you and tell me if I get this one right.
I was like, I thought there was like a sound issue, and you're like, hold on. Lindsay, why are you getting these all right?
I knew it.
My ex had, like, he would come before he even put it in, and he had to get this lube and it would desensitize, but I don't think it was lidocaine, but this man put fucking lidocaine on his dick.
Okay, but I don't even know what lidocaine is. It's what
they use on your, like, if you get something at the dentist, it's like local anesthetic. So like if you have to get a mole removed, if you have to get a filling, if you have to get stitches.
But why would you have that at your house?
Because I think that you can get like topical lidocaine, maybe like an Oragel type of situation, or tattoo. They have it for tattoos now where you can put it on your skin so that you don't feel the tattoo.
Oh, okay.
So he must have ordered it online or something.
Well, I'm sorry for her. Like, I'm really sorry for her, and I don't know why he did this. There is no explanation for what men do on a regular basis. Outside of that,
I can't.
I need to truly know an answer to this question, and it's like a question that I've also thought about a lot. If a man doesn't last long, is it because your coochie's just that good, or is it like another problem?
Let me ask. All right, hold on. Just stay put.
Who are you asking?
Elijah.
Hello.
Hey, babe. If you're having sex with a woman and you don't last long, is it because the pussy's good, or is it because the man just can't last long?
It depends on the situation.
Oh, so okay. So it varies by person. Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Emotional connection with somebody, then you won't last long.
If you have an emotional connection with somebody, then you might not last long?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Great. Love you.
Love you.
There you have it. Depends on the person.
Okay. So I need everybody to answer that question, because I thought it just meant they can't last long because you just got that good a coochie. So on that note, if you coochies have not gone over to Coffee Convos Podcast Instagram, go over there. We're going to be posting stuff there for like links and stuff that we've talked about on the episodes. We're going to be much better about posting that stuff. And then just one update on the Telegram group before we go. We have seen everyone asking about the changes coming that were mentioned, and starting in February, every 2 weeks, we're going to be scheduling an evening video chat and picking a few topics to chat about there. Sort of like a mini podcast episode, but with the added benefit of listener involvement. It's super exciting. I'm so excited about it.
I'm excited too.
I've seen Kristen already getting this on our calendar. So I've seen it pop up already a couple of times in the coming weeks. And we will be advertising the topics and the dates ahead of time, so everyone will be able to mark their calendar. And these topics are going to be specific to that group and not things that we have discussed on the podcast. You guys can also find us on TikTok, and you can stitch or duet our TikToks and we will repost them. Also, you can remix our reels on Instagram and do the same. And I can't wait to see the content that you guys create. And if you have not subscribed to our show, you can do that from any podcast app, and always first at Podcast One. We hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
All month long on Pluto TV, stream the biggest Tyler Perry movies free. Watch your favorites like Medea's Witness Protection and Medea's Big Happy Family. Join Tyler Perry as he goes on a couples retreat with Sharon Leal in Why Did I Get Married? Or Idris Elba and Gabrielle Union in the Tyler Perry directed film Daddy's Little Girls. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies and TV shows available on live and on demand. Download the free Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming now. Pluto TV. Drop in, watch free.